For years, farmers have relied on John Deere's iconic green machines to power their fields, drive their businesses, and sustain the food supply. But that trust is now crumbling. John Deere has made a move that could upend the entire U.S. farming industry, outsourcing jobs, driving up equipment costs, and pushing thousands of farmers toward financial ruin. And here's the shocking part. This latest decision could completely reshape global farming as we know it. Across the United States, farmers are turning against John Deere in unprecedented numbers. And it's not just about the rising price of equipment. The company that built its reputation on supporting farmers is now being accused of doing the exact opposite. Soaring costs, restrictive repair policies, and the outsourcing of American jobs have left many feeling abandoned. One of the biggest concerns is the skyrocketing price of equipment. A new John Deere 8R series tractor, which once cost around $150,000, now sells for over $300,000. Even smaller, mid-sized tractors have seen price hikes that are forcing family farms to the brink. John Deere is pricing out the very people who built them, says an Iowa corn farmer who recently switched to a competitor. They act like we're all corporate mega farms with unlimited money, but most of us are barely making it. That frustration is fueling a major shift in the industry. As more farmers seek alternatives to a company they feel has turned its back on them, farmers who were once loyal to John Deere are now exploring other brands, including Kubota, AGCO, and even lower-cost Chinese imports. The rise of precision farming technology, which enables automation and GPS tracking, has also allowed smaller brands to compete with Deere's historically dominant market position. But high prices are just one part of the crisis. The real tipping point came when John Deere began shifting its manufacturing to Mexico, sending shockwaves to America. John Deere's decision to move production across the border is more than just a corporate strategy. It's a devastating blow to American farming towns. For decades, Deere factories were the backbone of communities in Iowa, Illinois, and Kansas, employing tens of thousands of American workers. Now, those jobs are disappearing. Over the past decade, John Deere has cut more than 4,500 U.S. jobs, replacing them with lower-wage workers in Mexico. The most recent wave of layoffs hit Iowa particularly hard, with nearly 200 workers let go in a single round. The impact on towns that depend on John Deere factories has been catastrophic. Local businesses that relied on factory workers, from restaurants to hardware stores and auto shops, are struggling as their customer base shrinks. Families that have been part of the John Deere workforce for generations are now scrambling to find new jobs, many without success. The biggest reason for the move: cheaper labor and lower costs. By shifting assembly and parts manufacturing to Mexico, John Deere can pay workers a fraction of what U.S. employees earn, while also avoiding certain regulations and taxes, increasing profit margins at the expense of American jobs. Company claims this is necessary to remain competitive. Farmers see it differently. They tell us they have to cut costs, but they keep raising equipment prices on us, says a Kansas wheat farmer. So where is all that money going? Not to us, that's for sure. This isn't just about jobs. It's about trust. Farmers are questioning John Deere's commitment to American agriculture, and if outsourcing wasn't bad enough, the company's controversial repair policies are making things even worse. Imagine spending $300,000 on a new tractor, only to be locked out of fixing it yourself. That's the reality for thousands of American farmers who own John Deere equipment. For years, farmers could repair their own machinery or take it to independent mechanics. But now, John Deere has locked its equipment behind software controls, forcing them to use only company-authorized repair services, which are often slow and expensive. The issue stems from John Deere's proprietary software. Modern tractors are filled with computerized systems that control everything from engine diagnostics to steering calibration. If a problem arises, farmers can't simply replace a part or fix it manually. They must connect to John Deere's software system, which is only accessible through company-approved dealerships. This has sparked outrage, leading to lawsuits, protests, and government investigations. Many farmers argue that it's not just about money, it's about control. When you buy a tractor, you should be able to fix it, says a Nebraska farmer who recently joined a lawsuit against Deere. But they want to keep us dependent on them so they can charge whatever they want. The situation has ignited the national right to repair movement, with farmers pushing for laws that would force manufacturers like John Deere to allow independent repairs. Some states have already passed legislation requiring companies to make repair tools and software available to farmers, but John Deere continues to fight back in court. For many, the solution is simple: buy from someone else. Competitors like Case IH and Kubota are gaining market share by offering equipment that allows easier repairs, while others are turning to used machinery, avoiding newer models with software restrictions altogether. As frustration builds, farmers are escalating their response by hitting John Deere where it hurts most, its bottom line. Across the Midwest and Great Plains, an organized revolt is taking shape. Farmers are boycotting John Deere dealerships, refusing to purchase new equipment, and staging protests at corporate offices. The financial impact is growing, with John Deere's stock value fluctuating as investors worry about declining farmer loyalty. In recent financial reports, the company admitted to weaker than expected sales, especially among small and mid-sized farms. The divide is becoming more pronounced. While corporate mega-farms continue to invest in John Deere equipment, family-owned farms are walking away. As more farmers switch to Kubota, AGCO, or smaller independent brands, John Deere risks losing its hold on the American market. Whether the company can recover from this backlash, or if this marks the beginning of its decline, remains uncertain. What is clear is that the battle between John Deere and American farmers is far from over. But as this crisis unfolds, the bigger question looms. What happens to U.S. agriculture if John Deere loses its dominance? This is not just about tractors. It's about the survival of small farmers, the future of rural America, and the very foundation of U.S. food production. At the heart of this crisis is a severe downturn in crop prices. Since 2022, corn prices have plummeted by 37%, wheat by 35%, and soybeans by 24%. These crashes have wiped out billions in farmer profits, making it nearly impossible for many to afford the new tractors, harvesters, and equipment they once relied on. One of the biggest drivers of this collapse is oversupply. American farmers are growing more crops than the market demands, forcing prices lower. With modern farming techniques, improving efficiency and yields, supply has surged far beyond what can be sold at profitable rates. Yet, even as farmers produce more than ever, their costs continue to soar. Inflation has made essential expenses like fertilizer, fuel, and maintenance unbearably expensive. Diesel, which powers most farm equipment, has skyrocketed in price, making day-to-day operations significantly costlier. Fertilizer, another essential input, has nearly doubled in price in recent years, adding yet another financial strain. On top of that, high interest rates are making things worse. Farmers traditionally rely on loans to invest in equipment and stay afloat during tough seasons. But with interest rates exceeding 7%, borrowing has become incredibly expensive. Many are now holding off on buying new tractors, harvesters, and other critical machinery, fearing that more debt could lead to financial ruin. When farmers stop investing in new equipment, companies like John Deere see a steep drop in sales. This economic slowdown isn't just hurting individual farmers, it's rippling through the entire agricultural industry. And while American farmers struggle to survive, China is quietly taking over global agriculture in ways no one expected. China's growing influence in global agriculture is undercutting U.S. farmers in ways few could have predicted. Once one of the largest buyers of American agricultural products, China imported billions of dollars in corn, wheat, and soybeans for years. But that era is rapidly ending. Instead of relying on the U.S. for food, China has aggressively ramped up domestic production through government subsidies, advanced farming technologies, and massive land investments. As a result, China is producing more of its own crops than ever before, reducing its dependence on U.S. farmers and further driving down global prices. For decades, American farmers counted on steady demand from China to keep their businesses profitable. Today, however, China has shifted its focus to self-sufficiency, cutting back on U.S. imports while expanding irrigation systems, developing high-yield crop varieties, and embracing modern precision farming techniques. This has significantly reduced its reliance on American grain exports. But China's influence doesn't stop there. It is also aggressively expanding into farm equipment manufacturing, posing a direct threat to John Deere and other U.S. companies. Backed by heavy government support, Chinese firms are mass-producing tractors, harvesters, and agricultural technology at a fraction of the cost of American brands. Companies like YTO Group and Zoomlion are now selling machinery in markets once dominated by John Deere, including Latin America, Africa, and parts of Europe. This shift is reshaping global agriculture in three critical ways. First, China's reduced imports have cut off a major revenue stream for U.S. farmers, forcing them to sell at lower prices. Second, by flooding global markets with cheap agricultural products, China is keeping crop prices artificially low, making it even harder for American farmers to compete. Finally, the rise of Chinese-made farm equipment is threatening John Deere's dominance, giving farmers around the world access to cheaper alternatives. As China strengthens its grip on the agricultural industry, another revolution is quietly reshaping farming: automation. While John Deere faces backlash for outsourcing jobs, it is making a massive bet on autonomous technology. Instead of focusing solely on traditional tractors and harvesters, the company is investing billions into self-driving farm equipment, robotic harvesters, and AI-driven precision farming. The latest autonomous tractors can plant seeds, spray crops, and even harvest fields without human operators, using a combination of GPS, sensors, and artificial intelligence. For large corporate farms, this is a game changer. By cutting down on labor costs and maximizing efficiency, industrial-scale farming operations can produce more crops at a lower cost. But for small and mid-sized farmers, it could be devastating. Most independent farmers cannot afford the latest automation technology, meaning they risk falling further behind as major agribusinesses gain an even stronger foothold in the industry. Beyond the financial strain, automation is also raising serious concerns about job losses. If self-driving tractors and robotic harvesters become the norm, thousands of farm jobs could disappear overnight. This raises a crucial question. Will farming become a fully automated industry where only large-scale operations can survive? As the industry shifts toward automation, yet another crisis is looming, making the future of American farming even more uncertain. The U.S. farming industry is facing an escalating labor crisis, with more than 70% of farm workers being immigrants, many of whom are undocumented. Without them, the entire agricultural system is at risk of grinding to a halt. States like California, Texas, and Florida are already struggling with labor shortages, leading to unharvested crops, food waste, supply chain disruptions, and higher consumer prices. To compensate for the lack of workers, farmers are being forced to raise wages, increasing production costs across the board. This could have significant consequences for American households, as rising farm costs get passed down to grocery stores and, ultimately, consumers. While automation is advancing, it is not yet sophisticated enough to fully replace human labor. Self-driving tractors may work for large-scale row crops, but many fruits and vegetables still require human hands for harvesting, a problem that automation alone cannot solve.